One who abandoned everything had everything come to him. In losing all sense of identity, a wandering mystic finally touched the edge of eternal truth. They say the greatest journey is not across deserts or seas, but through the layers of the self. And sometimes, the only way to reach the truth is to forget the one who is searching. This is the story of a dervish, a man with no home, no possessions, and eventually no name. He was once known by many names: scholar, saint, poet, son, but with each name came an expectation, a weight. Wherever he went, people would project their hopes and fears onto him. Some sought his blessing, others his wisdom. Many simply wanted to be seen by the man whose eyes seemed to hold ancient silence. But one day, in a small village beneath the shadow of a mountain, he sat beside a well and asked himself, "Who am I when no one is looking?" The question struck him like thunder. That night, he burned the last scroll that bore his lineage. The next morning, he left without telling a soul. He wandered, barefoot, head wrapped in cloth, nameless. He ate what was given, slept where there was space. In markets he was called Wise One, in temples, stranger, in gardens, ghost. But he never corrected anyone. Slowly, the words others used to name him began to dissolve. One day, a child offered him a fig and asked, "What's your name?" The dervish smiled and replied, "I've forgotten." The child laughed. "Then who are you?" He paused, as if surprised by the question. "I don't know," he said softly. "But I feel lighter without the answer." As he walked on, people stopped asking. The fewer words he used, the more presence he carried. His silence spoke. His stillness echoed. He no longer introduced himself, no longer explained, no longer sought. At night, under open skies, he would whisper not prayers but thanks. "Thank you," he would say to the stars. "Thank you," to the cold wind. "Thank you," to the ache in his legs. Every breath became an offering. In a distant town, a nobleman heard of this silent wanderer. Curious, he summoned the dervish to his court. The guards found him sitting beside a stream, watching fish. "You are requested by the Lord," they said. The dervish nodded. In the palace, the nobleman greeted him. "They say you speak little, yet your presence is like thunder. Who are you?" The dervish looked at the man, then at the floor, then at nothing. "I am," he said. The nobleman frowned. "You are what?" "I am," the dervish repeated. "That is enough." The court fell silent. For a moment, even the nobleman forgot his questions. "Very well," he said at last. "Then tell me, what have you learned in all your travels?" The dervish closed his eyes. "I learned that the more I forgot, the more I became. I lost my history and found the present. I lost my face and found the gaze. I lost my name and found the name." The nobleman asked no more. The dervish stayed in the town for a time. He planted trees. He washed the feet of beggars. He sat in circles of children and listened to their dreams. He spoke very little. One evening, a man followed him a quiet field and said, "My soul is in pain. I've tried everything, fasting, praying, studying. Still I feel empty. Who can I become to be closer to God?" The dervish knelt and drew a circle in the dirt. "Stand here," he said. The man stepped into the circle. "No," the dervish whispered, "take off every name you've ever worn." The man looked confused. "What do you mean?" "Your titles, roles, your story, your religion, your doubt, even your longing. Let them fall, one by one." The man trembled. What will remain? He asked. The dervish looked into his eyes. Only what never had a name. That night, the man wept until the soil around the circle turned soft. When he rose, something in him was quiet for the first time in years. Eventually, the dervish left. He always did. No goodbyes, no footprints. It is said that he was seen years later, in the mountains, talking to no one, dancing in the snow. Others claimed he walked into a cave and never came out. Some say he vanished entirely, becoming wind, becoming fire, becoming presence. But those who sat near him, even once, remember not what he said, but what they felt. A stillness, a nameless light, and the knowing that sometimes, to meet the eternal, you must forget the one who seeks it. Years after the dervish vanished, a small child in the village, where he once passed through, asked her mother, what was his name? The mother smiled and said, he had many names. The one he wore the longest was silence. She thought for a moment and added, and in that silence, many found themselves. That night, the child sat by the same well the dervish once rested beside. She closed her eyes and said nothing, not a prayer, not a word, just presence. And in that sacred stillness, she too felt it. Not the man, not his name, but what he left behind: a mirror, a breath, and the invitation to forget, so something greater might remember you. Thus, the story of the dervish lived on, not in books, not in temples, but in quiet moments, where the soul lets go of all it knows and remembers what it truly is.